Good morning.
Good morning.
Just before the big
It's
storm.
like, have I said this before? It's so vulnerable. Like just the beginning.
Mm,
It's like, yeah, I feel that way when I write letters. I feel,
opening.
yeah, I just feel like the vulnerability of like that awkwardness or something. Like that,
Mm.
I don't know. For me, it's just vulnerability. It's like tenderness and like, yeah, just like, hi, hi, hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I have a couple things.
Nice. Me too.
If okay.
Uh, it's Sunday, November 16th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in Vermont, in case you're wondering where this broadcast from. And we're supposed to get.
But if you're in the future or in the past, then I don't know. Hi. I just
And we're supposed to get 8 to 15 inches of snow this afternoon. Amy took a deep breath.
no
She's feeling
comment.
into
No
that.
comment.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I had a really intense dream last night, and I'm so
Oh.
curious
Oh,
about it.
cool.
I want to talk about it a little bit
Oh,
in terms
okay.
of like narrative
Okay,
stuff that
cool.
we've
So
been
I'll
talking
start
about.
with I had a fun thing last night that was I'll start with the other thing that has been coming up for me cuz it's related. It's a good lead in.
Nice.
The dog is in the trash, so so I've been feeling like so we had a conversation yesterday briefly about many things, but briefly we talked about community, and I like had
Mm-hmm.
mentioned like just something about community and how there's like I've felt this thing, especially particularly I can't speak for other places, but where we live, there's like a big push for community, a lot of yearning for community. A lot of the people I work with have like a lot of stuff around community and wanting community, like very, very much, like really, um, and feeling, yeah, just a lot around that, and the
Mm-hmm.
importance of community and all this stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I have that or have ever had that. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like kind of just like, well, whatever, you know what I mean, about
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, I don't have a strong thing about it. But I have felt over the years, because all around me and kind of the general, like, the postings on the local, front porch forum or the
Mm-hmm.
whatever that, um, neighbor forums or like about that, and like
Mm-hmm.
all the posters everywhere and the this and that there's a lot of like push and and then that over time unconsciously has like gotten to me, in that sometimes I think, not in these so many words, but I think there's some level that I've been like, is there something wrong with me that I don't want that,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want that. And this morning I was just having these memories of being like when I was a kid, and related to this dream that I had where I was 5, and I just like I just was alone and I loved being alone and playing alone,
Mm-hmm.
and like I just, it was like, my thing. And yeah, I mean, I had friends and whatever, but I just really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was, that led me to feeling this thing about dreams. And specifically, this is more along the lines of, it's in general for people about projection, but also it's for people who are working with people. And as a therapist, I was remembering when I first was learning and training,
Mm-hmm.
to do this work, and how I didn't have any questions. I couldn't. I had no questions to bring to my supervisor.
Oh, like
So,
from the session
yes,
about
from
like
the
what had
session,
happened.
yeah, I like had, or even just in general, I just had no questions because and for me, that was that I hadn't healed enough, so I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't have that curiosity that you bring up so much, and we talk so much
Right.
throughout on this podcast, of just like this open curiosity where it's like, huh, I just wonder about that. I was
Mm-hmm.
so scared, there were so many things happening. I still had so much unhealed trauma. I so wanted to please and do it right that I was terrified to even admit that I had a question. You know, and and that it feels all so related, you know. And then there's a thing where I realized, like, what if you and I joke, like, what if this was a dream, you know? And so if I had a dream that I was playing alone by myself, there is a world where someone else, like, I think, might think, like, because of their preconceived notions and their experience of being alone and their projection, reaction, and trauma, that there an assumption could be made and no questions could be asked. And because we're all so different, and it's so incredible. It's like my favorite thing, you know, is how different we all are, and how it's like I feel endless, like, tenderness. Hey, chewing on the cord. No. So, you know, I was really, like, I've just been really feeling and noticing these
He's
things.
like,
He's still holding it. He's like, they'll get
they
distracted.
said no,
and
but
then
that's only
I
for the
can
moment.
still hold it
Hey,
between my paws.
do I?
Yeah, and that's for whatever reason, it's, I mean, the same thing came up for me last night. There must be something that I need in all this, or it's really becoming illuminated how pervasive it is, and how, you know, connected to projection and reaction. And the other piece of it is, or another part of it is, we are all longing for connection. And how good does it feel when we meet someone and there is this agreement of experience, like we have similar experience. That's why when people are being negative, you know, people often bond over a shared hatred of something, you know, a shared annoyance of something. And it feels so good to do that, because it's like it feels like we have found something that's simpatico, and that feels, even if the agreement is over something, you know, no matter what the agreement is related to, you know, it's like, so I just feel, I'm feeling so much tenderness and so much compassion and so much just this growing kind of, it's like a tiny light came on, and now the spotlight is just getting bigger and bigger onto this thing, you know, that feels like it has so many, you know, tendrils. And it does feel related to, like, the narrative thing. And also, just the one other thing is, I guess even though I'm talking so fast right now, I'm slowing down so much inside myself that it's like I'm having all these really interesting experiences where I'm like, oh, like it's enabling me to have this growing awareness of all these things. And my heart is just opening and opening and opening and opening. And that includes, for me, the narrative piece where I see a thought come up, or that like wants me to judge, wants me to categorize this, whatever's happening, this person, this blah, based on their dress, or based on a projection of my own experience. And instead I'm like, oh wow, check that out. Huh. Aw, like, wow. You know, and I guess I will say the one thing is, we went to a play last night, and I was heavily involved in theater, and I started school, went to college and I majored in theater. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff around seeing live theater for me, but particularly seeing, like, high school or junior high kids, like, doing theater, because I was really doing a lot of theater then, not in my high school, but because that was too scary and vulnerable, and I didn't, but in, like, more local, outside the high school, with a lot of adults, and I was finding myself, like, I was just really witnessing myself. And in the end, it was so helpful, because I just was watching myself with curiosity and openness, and I was like, oh, like that. oh, that's too bad.
While you're watching the play last night?
No, actually before, when we were
Okay.
waiting in line.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, like I'm really, like I was really annoyed
Mm-hmm.
by, like there's a type, you know, and I was really annoyed by that. Like the super heavy theater person type. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a very,
Like you bumped into one of them? Or
I
they
was
were
just
a-
watching. They were
there were a
all
lot
around
of-
because that's a part of it. Is like I am. Look at me and my mask, you know, and I'm doing this thing. And I don't know what it was for that person, and
right.
that's what I'm talking about. Is
But
I
that's
was
what
like,
it was for you.
I actually didn't do that because
Okay.
I held back way more.
But you could feel that coming up.
But I was like,
right.
whoa, like
Right.
wow, that I didn't even have whatever. I don't know what it was for that child, you know. But I was like, ooh, I don't like that. And I think that's what Hello Kitty was my version of that. But it took me a while to hone it. It took me like some years to hone something that felt less like obvious and like aggressive, though Hello Kitty of course was aggressive, and I was aggressively cheerful and aggressively, but I just didn't want to think that my persona that I developed to manage my own trauma and to, as a way to not feel, you know, that my idea of it was that it wasn't, you know, aggressive, and that my caretaking wasn't aggressive and painful and unbelievably unpleasant, you know. I thought it was like, you know, of course that I was okay. So I don't know what was happening for that person, but and then by the time we got to the play, I had like done in enough work for like the 15-minute line, you know, thing of like, like I don't want to do that. I don't want to be judging the girl in the mask running around like being very overly, you know, like Broadway acting. Like I think you and Wake and I talked about it maybe when we went. There's like Broadway acting versus there's like another kind of acting that's not, and Broadway's very large gestures and you know, the Broadway voice and the Broadway.
You gotta do it for the back row.
And the
baby.
Broadway, exactly, the Broadway singing voice and the Broadway, you know, like, and that's just not my thing. It's like, I don't enjoy that. Though I did a lot of that, I actually don't. I enjoy the smaller, you know, things. But anyway, in the end, I was like, it was so awesome. The show was awesome. It was like called something like Ride the Cyclone or something. It was a musical. It was amazing. It was like about these kids who die on a cyclone ride, and then they're in like this limbo, Bardo, and they get I'm allowed to cringe. Like I'm cringing. Yeah. So there's this you know, the Great Zoltar or what from that movie Big, the fortune teller machine is like, I can grant one person to come to not die, but you guys all have to choose. Like you have to kind of like, so everyone kind of.
And this was a high school production.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was so cool. It was very Glee. Like it was very, there's a great show, really good show called School Spirits.
Oh yeah, you talked about that.
It was so good. And this wasn't that good or whatever. It wasn't the same, you know, but it had shades of that and shades of Glee, you know, and it was just very, because it's a Broadway show, all the characters were like way over the top. There was very little subtlety. And I'm just a fan of subtlety myself because just because I am. So, but it was incredible. Like it was so incredible. And so anyway, I feel really grateful that I had my little roiling time of like, you know, of like the kind of reactive time of being, the whole thing and like the whole social thing is not my favorite, and being in crowds is not my favorite. So I got this time to like work through that, and you know, and
just the word practice is coming up for me because I talked about it a little bit with my example, but like as you're saying, it's like being in it, in it, and the practice it takes to do it again and again. Meaning, like you were like, oh, you know, whatever that judgmental voice would say about this person or theater people or high school productions, which are so grandly mocked, you know, on so many things. Like it'd be so like I'm already thinking about all these like Saturday Night Live has this wonderful like thing where they mock these like high school political, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I can feel that, which is wonderful, but it's also really snarky and like
Yeah, I mean,
inhibitive as
yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
But I
I
also
was
find it really
feeling,
funny. So it's like,
yeah, I was feeling a lot of pain in myself, not in a judgy way, but I was like, oh, that's just that judgment is just so mean
it
and
is.
completely
It
unnecessary.
is,
And
right. And unfortunately
yeah,
funny sometimes.
mm-hmm.
Maybe for me also
I mean, you should
particularly,
just
but
seen this. It was actually really like absurdly funny
yeah.
what was happening. Like, yeah.
So, but, and what I'm thinking in sort of in a general sense is what's feeling really delicious to me is like the ability to just know that every day we're going to have practice
Mm-hmm.
to feel these narratives kick on and our thoughts kick on and this old stuff kick on, which I think is tied to my dream from last night. But like the example I used in our class yesterday of just simply being in the driveway to run in and grab Ann and Obi. I literally was
Mm-hmm.
parked in the driveway. It was going to be less than
Right.
30
This is
seconds.
right. This is a
Yeah.
waking a real
Yeah,
life.
this happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
happened on Friday. So I was going to pick up my dog, and I have this very interesting little driveway where there's four houses connected to it, and really very specific spots, and nobody can be in the driveway because nobody can access the spots. So I was less than a minute it was going to take me to run
Mm-hmm.
into my house and get my dog. As soon as I pull into the driveway, my landlord and his partner pull, and they have this big truck, they pull in behind me. And I could just feel all of these things happen. And it really wasn't until later. I was like, oh, I really have to go run and get the dog really, really fast. Come on, Anna, Nobi, we gotta go, gotta go. And projecting onto my landlord that he was going to be mad that I was in this, and then I would explain that it was just for a second. I wasn't actually being thoughtless or inconsiderate,
Mm-hmm.
like the whole
Mm-hmm.
narrative thing. And I could realize a little bit in the moment, but more later, like my landlord is a super nice guy. He's like a little curmudgeonly, and so people think, I think he has like a sense of shyness. Like people kind of think he's really kind of gruff and maybe judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
That's been my projection
Mm-hmm.
on him a little bit
Mm-hmm.
too. And I also have a real big father wound about a really mean,
Mm-hmm.
reactive,
Mm-hmm.
you know, unfathomably unrealistic father in terms of like reactivity. So there's all of those things. But it's like that moment is so now feels so wonderful instead of the like, oh, I'm projecting onto my dad and I shouldn't or whatever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I get to really see and I'm like, this happens all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It happens all the
Countless times a
time
day.
where
Countless. Yeah.
we're projecting and reacting and our narratives get triggered like
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm like, there's so much opportunity to like be in it and like grow and recognize, and that we're never gonna, it's like Michael Jordan, we're never going to hit 100% of our shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we can always keep getting better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Always keep getting better. And unlike physical sports where our bodies start to go the other way and we
Mm-hmm.
can't, oh, like we really can always get better. And what I mean by getting better is more like a little more vulnerable and a little more curious and a little bit less caught in our projections and reactions and the shadows way that it wants to kind of keep us in and the same and all that.
Right. Well, it's so interesting too as you're talking because the narrative wants to keep us engaged over here instead of
Mm-hmm.
engaged right here, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like so. That's just like, oh my God, I just feel like so tender, like so much love about it. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as you're talking, the other thing about getting better is the turnaround. You know, is
Mm-hmm.
like that's why I'm so grateful for the dreams and for doing this work for so long because this it's like the turnaround time, not always, but it's like so much faster.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of when I forget or you know, with projection and reaction, and also just when I'm inside myself, like leaving myself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and those times between when I'm actually here, present in myself,
Yeah.
and the times when I'm just taken out, as we used to say, you know,
Right.
and like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever, like just
the-
walking around like just totally just disconnected
right.
and barely in my body, you know, or it's like
Mm-hmm.
so few and far between, and it's such a Yeah, I mean it's so great. I think of the co-op because it's like one of my
Montpelier,
my
Montpelier's
places.
friendly
It's like the place of
Hunger
my
Mountain Co-op.
most reactive I just I can't
There's a lot to project
stand
and react.
going
There's
there.
a
Like
lot of
I can't
opportunities
stand it.
for projection and
I
reaction.
want I just and and I really need to go today because we're having the snowstorm and I have no food. Like I
You
have no
have to.
and I'm like,
The
oh
devil's
God.
got you by your neck.
And so it's like, yeah, it's just interesting to witness myself and to be like, what the fuck is the big deal? Like, it's not a big deal, but I'm just like, oh.
I'm just laughing about our community in Montpelier. Like the two things that like are constantly consistent that I have these big reactions to that I now kind of enjoy is one that 2 to 3 times a week a driver will give
Oh.
up their right of way.
I was hoping you'd
They
say
would
that
give
one.
up their right of way and they'll like
Just 2 to 3 times. That's so low.
2 to 3. I mean, like, which is a high percentage of days where it's like a common thing. So you'll be like, someone like a car, like for example, I live where I have to make a left turn into my driveway, and so if a car's coming, they have the right of way. Like they're supposed to keep driving, and I can't tell you how many times I put on my left turn signal and they stop,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is like the opposite of a standoff. Like you're gonna go. It's not who's gonna go. Like
Yeah.
you, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'll sit here all day. You have the fucking right of way,
Yeah.
and I refuse to go.
I know. You got so
Yeah.
mad yesterday. You were like, oh, I was like, whoa.
What was the one that happened? I'm trying to remember what the one that happened yesterday.
It was when we were by, like coming from not from the co-op, but from I think on that road, and you were turning onto Berry Street, and somebody stopped, and you were like, or I can't remember what you went off. You
Yeah.
were like, no, you were really like. I was like,
and it's
wow.
so I love it because they're being nice. They're being nice, right?
Right.
And so that's the one, and the other one is in the co-op where people are always in the fucking way. Like people never, they're always standing
Exactly where you
without,
need to go.
but not even that they're, but in a way that's like they could easily not be in the way.
Right. Yeah.
They could easily not.
Yeah. So it's the opposite
right.
of the car.
So
thing,
I
in a
feel
way.
like all these people who like live in like very stressful towns and there's all sorts of strife. Like the things about where I live are that people give up the right of way and they won't get out of the fucking anyway. I'm just that's such an aside.
Yeah. So.
Anyway.
Yeah, but and the narrative thing I think is if you want to go into that a little bit and maybe in regards to your dream, but just
Yeah.
like the other there's so many pieces to it, I guess. It's
well, even with that, like I can feel like I humor that part of myself, but I was a really fucking angry person, right? But I could never express it.
yeah.
And so there was like the benefit of growing up in
Oh,
New York
yeah.
where you don't have to be nice, right? And so both of these things sort of fit into my New Yorker hostility, which is, I mean, we could go into all sorts of stuff about why New Yorkers are like that. Partially because I think they're all dysregulated because there's too many fucking people, so everybody's in a fight flight mode anyway. But yeah, I mean, it does take me away from the love of road rage is not exactly like a vulnerable.
I was just remembering your dream, the anger dream, like on the roof of the pink house or something. Like you had that some dream where, and you were angry, and it was like kind of amazing. But I can't remember the specifics. But it was like
Yeah, like where part of my process work has been being
Yeah.
able to let some of that anger out.
yeah.
So I'm going to totally change. I don't know if I'm totally changing tracks, but this is like I want to talk about my dream last night in the narrative. So I had a dream last night where I was severely depressed, which has been an experience of mine. And even this week, I could feel like I was getting like a little fuzzy headed, which to me is like as you know, when I go into trauma, it is fucking serious. Like it's intense. Like I get severely depressed and severely anxious and occasional like really intense suicidal ideation, like a real shadow warped reality experience. And I haven't felt that way. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been maybe close to a year where not only am I not feeling that depression, I'm feeling like joy most of the time. So even if I'm not feeling joy and at ease. And so the moments where I'm not feeling joy, I'm like, this little part's like, uh-oh, like.
Yes.
And so this week, I just, for whatever reason, which I think was simply the time change and being more tired, and
Mm.
like that,
And
I,
the light changing and
yeah,
all this
I was
stuff.
just like, I was a little more like, and then I get really worried that is the beginning of, hell. So last night I had a dream where I was in that hell. I was so depressed and so hopeless and powerless. And it's interesting because I haven't really worked the dream or thought that much about it, but I was so depressed and it was awful. And like I was like reaching out to my psychiatrist and hoping that a med would help, which often it has, but it's been sort of this desperate thing because the physiology of my body is in such a awful state. Um, and then there was this other scene where I was kind of stressed out. It was just this like, this inescapable experience. And I'm like, like I'm really curious about why I'm having the dreams, because dreams are so often about the trauma and feeling a feeling that you're not able to feel that can open something up into a feeling tunnel, or sort of showing ways that pathology or your shadow you don't see, and those make continuing to make you do this. It doesn't feel like those dreams at all. Like I don't really know, but my curiosity about it is the place of, I think it's teaching me something about narrative, which is that it would be easy up until recently to wake up from that dream
Mm-hmm.
and be like, the good that I'm feeling isn't real, or I have more work to do, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm really depressed and my experiences here are not. Like I could get pulled back into that dream and its narrative, which is the narrative I lived for
Mm-hmm.
54
Mm-hmm.
year, like 80% of my
Mm-hmm.
life, maybe, really. And I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I wake up and I don't feel like I'm shoving that away, or like
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel the depression, or I can't. It doesn't feel like that at all. It just feels like I'm awake and I'm not experiencing this oppression, which is giving me this like opportunity to not go there, if that makes sense. Like it's the opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
not ruminate. It's the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to not go
Mm-hmm.
back into the
Yes,
past. It's
yes,
the
yes,
opportunity to
yes,
not
yes.
be like, oh, maybe I'm in more trouble than I really am, or
Mm-hmm.
all of those
Mm-hmm.
ways that the trauma gets projected
Mm-hmm.
into the narrative that
Mm-hmm.
is purely a
Mm-hmm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can feel how I'm rewriting the narrative by being able to have the experience of like being in the worst state that I am, and then waking up to the day, which is interestingly like a really great, like it doesn't have the circumstances of uplift in terms of the
That's for
physiological,
sure.
right? It's like a really gray
It's
November
very dark,
day.
yeah.
I don't have a lot to do. I've got a couple of things that are hitting me right in sort of the trauma procrastination place. Like I need to get all my continuing education unit credits by the end of January, and this is always a place I get frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been sort of putting those off, and I'm like, Sunday I have this full day. I should just do it, but I get even more resistant, and like
Mm-hmm.
just feeling all of those things. And even that of it in itself is narrative,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's always a big deal around my continuing education
Mm-hmm.
credits, and like I can get
Yes.
caught
Yeah.
up in that narrative, or I could block out 2 hours and face into the trauma because I have this whatever resistance to like stepping into something, which is partially ADHD, I don't even know all of what it
Mm-hmm.
is, but I can just schedule. I have a free
Mm-hmm.
open day.
Mm-hmm.
And the free open day of it in itself in the past would have been incredibly triggering because I was so in trauma in my body that I would need to find something to do or someone to
Mm-hmm.
hang out
Oh
with,
my gosh, yeah.
or else I'm
Yeah.
just thrown into the fucking depths of my
Yeah.
my terror of my father and anxiety of
Mm.
my mom and hopelessness of the world and
Mm.
inability to engage and
Mm-hmm.
stuff and trauma and shame and blah blah blah, like the whole narrative, which was so inescapable
Mm-hmm.
for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm getting the opportunity with these dreams to, it's sort of like a little bit of like, oh, there's my landlord in the truck and he's angry at me. You know what? He's not.
Mm-hmm.
And if he is, he's having a reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
either way, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to get obstinate about, I was just there for 30 seconds. Like He gets to have his react. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I don't. I mean, again, I don't think it. But even if he did, he
Mm-hmm.
would. It's like I'm not terrified of even people going into their reactions, which is
Mm-hmm.
also cool,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because in the
Yeah.
past, it'd be like I'm doing fine,
Mm-hmm.
as long as nothing bad happens, which is going to
Right.
trigger me. I'm
Right.
doing fine. Like
Right.
I'm
Right.
good.
Right.
God forbid someone's going to have a reaction to me because that'll just.
Mm-hmm.
And now even that narrative is
Mm-hmm.
like I had a friend colleague get really mad at me about something that sort of was both of our faults, and I could feel the reaction come up, and I could feel the shutdown come up. I could feel the anger and the shame and the pride and and all that, and I was really able to just she they were having a real big reaction. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it was like it didn't fucking obliterate me,
Mm-hmm.
which is like it's that kind of thing would have been so
Mm-hmm.
paralyzing. Like avoid conflict at any
Mm-hmm.
costs.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I'm just taking this
Yes.
deep breath of waking up on this like glorious Sunday morning where I get to do this with you, and I'm gonna do my podcast with Tom later. Shout out the Old Heads podcast. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and hang out with Ananobi and maybe spend some time this afternoon with Wake. Like it's all a new narrative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like there's the uh it's like meditation or whatever. Don't listen or don't believe your thoughts or just don't listen to your thoughts
mm,
or there's a better one that's more like more in
don't believe everything you think.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
And it is that, but that is a thing. That is what related to what we're talking about. Yeah, that
Mm,
is what we're talking about in some, in some instances. But the thing that I love and that is really important to me
mm,
to to talk about is that there are these things, these tropes, these memes, these that are it's like easier said than done.
well,
It's
it's
like you
practice all the
it's
time.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like don't believe sure, yeah, don't believe your thoughts and
Yeah.
then like less than 2 seconds later, you're having a thought and you're believing it. And
Yeah.
part of believing, for me, part of believing it is, I mean, partially being so incredibly unconscious and in trauma for so many years that I had the tape,
I'm listening, but I'm also having a conversation with Ananobi.
the tape that was just playing in the background all the time,
Mm-hmm.
which was,
Mm-hmm.
you're worthless, you're fat, you're ugly, you're disgusting, you're, you,
Mm-hmm.
and then, having the things like people in my life that did parrot those voices that I already had in my head, or,
Mm.
and anyway, so there's that,
Right, and
you
the
know,
ones who didn't, and that
and
didn't necessarily help.
yeah, 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 and so it's it takes a lot of work to slow things down to amplify, to just have that awareness,
Right.
for that awareness to come. And it's like also just again, we're just human beings. Like it's hard, we're inundated, especially with our devices,
Mm-hmm.
like constantly looking at things and
Mm-hmm.
taking
It's
all that
which is
in.
all narrative. It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have that to like adding to the already like packed full mix
Mm-hmm.
of things.
Mm-hmm.
And in the example with your landlord and the thing about and Nobody's like looking out the window, it's very cute.
I am the king of Montpelier.
The
I look down upon my disciples.
in terms of projection and reaction and just like another thing that I'm feeling a lot about is how even what you said about your landlord and like curmudgeonly and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
I have some fear and discomfort around both of your landlords, like both of them.
They're the
and
sweetest guys.
but I don't my experience of them
Is not that.
has been
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
walking down the driveway. I'd see them outside and they don't smile.
Mm-hmm.
They do not smile, and so for me as especially as a fawner, like I'm like, what?
What
Like,
do I need to do to make
how
them
can
smile? Yeah.
and also I'm like, how can they, something must really be up if they're not smiling at me,
Right.
like, what,
Right.
or just because, like, isn't that what people do, like,
Mm.
just to be nice, to be nice, again, to be nice. And
Isn't
um
that what people do when they're scared?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Aren't they terrified? And doesn't smiling help them? And so it's been years,
Mm.
years, and just now do
Mm.
they smile at me when they see me.
Right. We've been
And
there
like
for
there's
four
some
years,
acknowledgement,
maybe
and
five.
and I feel
Yeah.
like there's, hey, like there's a little,
Yeah.
with the dog, or, and there's like a,
Yeah.
some kind of like,
Yeah. If
interactions
you're
and
ever
stuff.
visiting my house, bring a dog because they will completely soften
Yeah.
right away. So
Yeah, it's just like really funny. And I used to live,
he's
in
eyeing
one of those four
he's
houses.
eyeing the little garbage poop bag because he's like, how do I? That's the best. That's my goal for the day.
Is to get
Is
that.
to destroy
to
the
chew
thing
on
you
it.
just bought and wreck it and wreak
Yeah, and
havoc.
it's just like I think of that, like I think of in particular the one who I see more
Mm-hmm.
of your landlords, and like it's the David Foster Wallace thing of, you just of we don't know what's happening with people, and
Mm-hmm.
what's going on in him,
Mm-hmm.
and just all the stuff. And
Yeah.
it's helpful, for me. I'm always looking at things from, like, feeling things from all different sides and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just feel it helps my heart stay really open.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say in terms of like the tools, right? Because it's like one thing to recognize when you're ruminating and try to stop ruminating, even though the brain just is gonna keep going. You can do things to help it quiet down, like meditation and breathing, and those are effective somewhat. And
Mm-hmm.
but one of the things, not to sell the dream work
Oh
to
yeah,
people,
is
but
yeah.
one of the things that's so wonderful about the dream work is it gives you an entirely different
Mm-hmm.
place to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's not, it just is such a fantastic tool in terms of the brain versus the body
Mm-hmm.
and the rumination. So one of my places to go is knowing that I'm taking this. I had a dream where, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but I had a dream where I'm going to be going to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know when the ship is leaving. It's like it could be leaving in 5 minutes or a few hours this afternoon. I have all of this stuff to order, and I don't know when it's leaving. And then I see all these record albums that I have, and I'm like, oh shit,
What about?
people are gonna steal them. I have all these incredible,
Uh-huh.
which I do, by the way. I have all these incredible records that are really hard to replace, and people are gonna take them.
Yes, right.
And I could just feel all this. And what I know about the dream now is that I can also just easily be like, my therapist said a great thing, which is like, if you're going to Mars, it's a one-way trip.
Mm-hmm.
You're not coming back
Mm-hmm.
for your records. And I could
Mm-hmm.
really feel the transformative
Mm-hmm.
aspect of going to Mars, which is the planet of the boy, which is, there is no worry in that. It's just the I am that I am place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can stop the rumination, and I can, it's like a cleanse when I
Right.
do that dream. Like, it's literally like all of the pressure and stress is, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there to the point of
Mm-hmm.
absurdity. My brain's like, wait, there's got to be
Right.
something. Can't you project
Right.
onto like the ship
Mm-hmm.
losing
Right,
oxygen?
right,
Like,
right.
there's got to be something you
Yeah.
can project on here. And there's really, I've done a lot of healing and gone through all suffering, and not that I've like earned my medal to be able to go to Mars, but in some ways I'm now, my central nervous system has changed enough that I'm just really able to drop it. So even when I woke up this morning and my body still, I'm sure, had, because of my dreams, cortisol and adrenaline running through it, and that kind of panicky feeling that has wrecked my adrenals over the years. Hi. I was able to wake up not just with like, okay, that was just a dream, but like, you know what? Like, I'm my morning routine of coffee and seeing my doggy, and also going to Mars.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, I can, it changes my physiological state
Yeah.
and my thinking
Yeah.
and all of that.
For me, I would use the word, like, what my experience of returning to the dream place of like is, for me, it's like a reorientation. Um, that's a
Mm.
where, yeah, which is so helpful because it's so different. It's so different from the thinking place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, yeah, it's just so helpful and brings me into like a reality that I know as the fundamental reality, which is like the
Mm-hmm.
reality of infinite love.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, my dream place is one of great of like with really intense fear,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like so taken care of, and like I can be, in the fear and feel like really really taken care of. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can feel this fear, and this fear can be here, and I can feel this
Right.
discombobulated,
That
like,
to me is one of the most as somebody who's spent so much time living in so much fear, that's like
yeah.
one of the most magic things about this dream work is that I also can be in the fear and feel held. And
Yeah.
like I had a dream where Anna was running into the road and he's going to get hit by cars. And I'm terrified, but the animus male figure is right there, and there's nothing I can do about the terror, but I'm loved and held at the same time. And that,
Yeah.
woo,
Yeah, it's not, it's actually turns out that
woo,
healing is not about not feeling, like, it's
right.
just not about feeling better. And it's not about not feeling the uncomfortable things or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, you can feel, there's a point where you can feel the really uncomfortable feelings, and there is support.
And not get
You can
dysregulated,
feel,
not go into fight,
yeah,
flight, or shutdown, and
yeah.
and
And
not only not go into it, but feel the love and the support more deeply by staying in that state, which is it's one of those like
very
incredible
paradoxical.
paradoxical experiences of healing that is very particular to certain methodologies of work. It's you know, it's not in cognitive behavioral therapy. I can tell you that. Um,
Yeah.
Anna Novi, what do you think? Is the keyboard yummy? Hi. Say hi. That's all your audience right there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Ooh, baby, I think I love you
From
from
head
head
to
to
toe.
toe. I think I love you from head to toe.
I
I
know.
know.
All right, this must be the end
I
because
guess
we're
this
we're
is
singing. We're singing the outro.
Lisa, and Cult Jam have the copyright for publishing. We're gonna get whatever. Cool. All right.
Thanks once again, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Reach out.
Reach out.
Reach out.
Send us messages if you want to
Reach
tell us about
out.
your dreams. I had a friend say that they just had remembered some of their dreams and they weren't sure, but it sure seemed like tomfuckery.
Sounds on. So yes.
So
yes.
if that resonates for you,
Yeah.
you can find us and send
Yeah.
us dreams. We'll be on YouTube and Facebook and
Yeah, YouTube. Oh shit! Said the fairies.
yelling at other people in Montpelier. Get the fuck out of the way. Take your fucking right away. Make your left turn. I'm not going. Bye.
Bye.